Hey guys, imagine that the cartoon we watch for fun turns out to be a real-time machine. The Simpsons predicted things that even Santa Claus wouldn't have guessed. How does an ordinary family from Springfield manage to see the future and almost map out events? Today in the video, we're going to dive into the wildest predictions from The Simpsons that will blow your mind. It's like you've stepped into a parallel world where the screen comes to life and dictates the plot of our reality. Get ready to be amazed. The war in Syria. Bart formed a group called the Terrorist Crowd, sponsored by the US Navy. Drop the bomb. The group flew planes and struck armed forces. A bomb hit an SUV with a flag, later used by Syrian rebels. During the filming of the video for the song Drop the Bomb, the band members had to fly on military planes and strike at armed men in military uniform. In the storyline, one of the bombs hits an SUV with a flag on the door, which was later used by Syrian opposition fighters 10 years later. The green, white, and black tricolor has 3 red 5-pointed stars in the center of the white stripe. In the same episode, a fighter jet is shown with a number made up of 2 identical letters, PP. A few years later, the US Army introduced the FF-22 plane. If you flip the letters PP, you get BB, which corresponds to the number 22. It's interesting to note that during the airstrikes in Syria, the F-22 Raptor was used for the first time, the latest American 5th-generation fighter jet, production of which began in 1997. By February 2015, the F-22s had completed at least 112 combat sorties over Syrian territory. By June 2015, the F-22s had indeed become an integral part of all the bomber groups involved in the attacks on Syria. Dependence on gadgets. In the episode Friends and Family from The Simpsons, the risks associated with excessive obsession with virtual reality are raised, anticipating potential problems in the 2030s. In this episode, Homer and Marge try out VR technology that simulates the taste of food. Homer, initially skeptical, notes that the virtual dishes leave much to be desired. In this episode, Homer and Marge try out VR technology that simulates the taste of food. Homer, initially skeptical, points out that the virtual dishes leave much to be desired. Despite expectations that such technologies could reduce unhealthy food consumption, real companies such as Aerobanquets, RMX, and Royal Caribbean have started using them to improve service. However, the cartoon also highlights the negative aspects: accidents caused by pedestrians distracted by VR headsets, and the loss of real social connections due to immersion in virtual worlds. The issue of gadget addiction is becoming increasingly relevant, isn't it? Transport evolution. In 2005, Professor Frank introduced the world to an innovative car that opened up new horizons for Bart and Lisa. 6 years later, in 2013, Marge decided to break up with Homer because of his extravagant spending. First, he invested the family fortune in underwater housing, then in a futuristic flying device. Homer was trying to justify himself. Sometimes people just drift apart. That's it. But Bart disagreed. No, Dad. Mom left because you lost all our money on that underwater house. Although this car is far from perfect, it can transport its passengers through a quantum tunnel. In the 1992 episode, The Itchy and Scratchy Land, the final scene predicted events 40 years later. There, we see an adult Homer and Bart heading to the movie theater where they encounter a car that looks like something out of Star Trek. Flying cars there seem quite ordinary. There, we see an adult Homer and Bart heading to the movie theater where they come across a car that looks like something out of Star Trek. Flying cars there seem quite ordinary. Considering that hovercar development has been going on for many years, it's possible that such a concept will soon become a reality. Flying cars there seem quite ordinary. Considering that hovercars have been in development for many years, it is possible that such a concept will soon become a reality. Meanwhile, Samsung Sky is preparing to bring its first flying cars to market. It's quite likely that by 2025, we'll be able to avoid city traffic jams thanks to these advanced vehicles. The breakdown of society. One of the most talked about moments among fans was a short scene from the 14th episode of the 23rd season, Finally, a Vacation, where Bart Simpson writes on the wall, "I like the breakdown of society." This statement invites different interpretations. Some see it as a reflection of Bart's rebellious spirit and his tendency towards antisocial behavior. Others see a deeper meaning in it, related to social processes like identity crisis, loss of traditional values, and the rise of individualism. The creator of the show, Matt Groening, is often associated with anarchistic views. Maybe he sensed the upcoming global crises or disasters that could shake the social order. However, that's just one of the possible interpretations of that scene. It's possible that the phrase was included in the episode as a joke or a way to express the character's dissatisfaction with current events. Time will tell how accurate the viewer's assumptions were. Environmental crisis. In the 2007 feature film The Simpsons movie, viewers witness a series of unusual events, many of which can be seen as prophecies. Particular attention is drawn to the central plot of the film, which revolves around a global environmental disaster presented in an exaggerated artistic form, but nonetheless reflecting quite realistic scenarios for the future. The main character of this story is Homer Simpson, who worsens the pollution problem of Springfield Lake by dumping waste from his pig farm into it. These actions lead to the start of a massive environmental crisis, resulting in the entire city being trapped under a huge dome. Although the idea of a dome seems fantastic, the nature of the disaster itself serves as a warning for modern society. Today, as climate change and its destructive consequences caused by human activity become increasingly evident, the issue raised in the film remains crucial. The irresponsible attitude of corporations and the neglect of natural resources continue to harm our planet, threatening the lives of people and ecosystems. Space exploration enthusiasts have long dreamed of flying to Mars and establishing a habitable settlement there. Although real colonization of the Red Planet is still ahead, one of the episodes of The Simpsons presents a fantastic scenario where Lisa and Marge go to Mars to establish a new colony. When Marge learns about Lisa's plans to take part in the Mars mission, she feels overwhelmed. In the end, the whole Simpson family decides to join the project to stay close to Lisa. The mission's goal is to colonize Mars by 2026, in the year 1026. However, despite the delays, according to the show's plot, Lisa and Marge reach the Red Planet only by 2051. However, Lisa expresses her desire to move from Mars to Venus. Lisa claims, "And if I decide to move from Mars to Venus, no one can stop me." Maybe Elon Musk watched this episode, since his company is actively working on creating interstellar ships that could turn such ambitious projects into reality. The hologram era. In the episode Bart of the Future, Bart Simpson is offered to perform with his band. The invitation is a holographic message. In this episode, Bart glimpses his future. The invitation comes in the form of a holographic message, adding a high-tech twist to the usual interaction. In this episode, Bart takes a look at his possible future, which, while far from perfect, has one interesting detail: mail delivery. The postman brings him a virtual letter made using holograms. The conversation ends with an unusual farewell. "I'll smell you later." That replaces the traditional goodbye. Bart is surprised by such a change. It's interesting why instead of the usual goodbye, people now say, "I'll smell you later." It's important to note that holographic communication technology is gradually becoming part of our everyday life. The question remains open. Will holograms become a part of our everyday communications in the future? Artificial intelligence robots. The topic of the widespread introduction of AI robots, widely discussed by experts, has found its way into pop culture, including the animated series The Simpsons. In 2012, the show's creators predicted that robots would start replacing human jobs. And now this trend is becoming more and more noticeable. One vivid example is the 1994 episode titled The Land of Chucks and Scratches, called The Land of Tickles and Scratchies, where the Simpsons family visits a theme park run entirely by robots. In the course of the story, the machines go out of control, showcasing both the possibilities and the risks of such technologies, reminiscent of the Wild West. Jürgen Schmidt-Huber, a leading expert in artificial intelligence, believes that the development of superintelligence could lead to significant technological changes and profound social transformations in the next 30 years. Female President of the USA. In the 2016 episode, the characters of The Simpsons hinted at a possible political career for Ivanka Trump when Homer Simpson wore a badge that said, Ivanka 2028. Later, in 2017, in an episode about the first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency, Ivanka took the place of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court, dressed in a robe and earrings from her own jewelry collection worth $1,000. Hopes that a woman will take the post of President of the USA continue to grow, and by 2025, they could become a reality. Although Hillary Clinton didn't achieve this goal at the time, the likelihood of a woman in the White House is increasing. In one of the episodes, where viewers are briefly taken into the future, Lisa Simpson becomes the first female president of America. According to The Simpsons, a woman could really become president. Although predictions about Kamala Harris's victory didn't come true, Donald Trump won the elections again. In 2024, the episode Bart in the Future, which aired in 2000, allowed Bart to see his future, where Lisa is trying to deal with the financial problems left by the Trump administration, so it's quite possible that Ivanka could take the presidency after her father. They have repeatedly amazed us with their mysterious predictions. Now let's see which of them have already come true. Tiger attack during a circus performance. For Russian viewers, this prediction might not seem very significant, but for American audiences, this episode holds special meaning. In the episode Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling, from the 5th season, which aired on December 16, 1993, the creators of The Simpsons predicted the tragedy involving the tiger attack on the famous trainers Siegfried and Roy, whose circus performances in Las Vegas were incredibly popular in the 90s and early 2000s. In this episode, Montgomery Burns opens a casino in Springfield and invites a German duo of animal trainers named Günther and Ernst, clearly inspired by Siegfried and Roy, to put on performances. During one of the acts, a white tiger attacks one of the performers. This incident, described in the series, remarkably mirrors real life. On October 3, 2003, during a live show in Las Vegas, a tiger attacked Roy Horn. The tragedy related to the submarine? 2 years before the infamous submarine disaster of the Kursk on March 29, 1998, an episode aired on American television where Homer Simpson joins the naval reserves and unintentionally heads into Russian territorial waters on the submarine. The situation becomes much more complicated when the crew mistakenly interprets a routine maneuver as preparation for a missile strike, leading to a tense standoff between the US and Russia. Fox became part of Disney. This is one of those predictions that, while not the most sensational, still turned out to be true. In the episode of the 10th season titled When You See a Star, which aired on November 8, 2008, The Simpsons unexpectedly predicted Disney's purchase of the studio 20th Century Fox. In December 2017, Disney actually announced the acquisition of this company for an impressive $52 billion. The studio, 20th Century Fox. In December 2017, Disney indeed announced the acquisition of this company for an impressive $52 billion. This merger brought together two of the largest media corporations, and Disney gained rights to an extensive library of Fox content, including The Simpsons themselves, video calls, and smartwatches. In the episode Lisa's Wedding from the 6th season, which aired on March 19, 1995, the creators of The Simpsons made an interesting prediction about video calls and smartwatches. In this episode, set in the future, Lisa uses a video call to communicate with her family. Back then, such technology was rare, and the scene felt extremely futuristic. Moreover, Lisa's fiancé wears a device that looks like a watch, serving as a communication tool, which is reminiscent of modern smartwatches. Today, with the rise of smartphones and apps like Skype and FaceTime, video calls have become a part of everyday life. Smartwatches have also gained popularity and turned into a trendy accessory that not only tells the time but also tracks physical activity, notifies you about messages, and even allows you to make calls. Ebola virus outbreak. Treehouse of Horror 8 aired October 26, 1997. The creators of The Simpsons predicted an Ebola outbreak. In one scene, Marge is reading a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. Ebola was not widely known, and this reference was unnoticed. In one scene, Marge is reading a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. At that time, the Ebola virus wasn't widely known, and this reference went almost unnoticed. However, years later, in 2014, the world faced a serious outbreak of Ebola, which primarily affected West Africa. This epidemic caused mass panic due to the high mortality rate and the lack of effective treatments. Although the situation didn't quite match what was shown in The Simpsons. The very mention of the Ebola virus in an episode filmed many years before the actual events is striking. The creators of The Simpsons can be credited with a special talent for foresight, since many of their predictions later came true. The truth is, not all of them have a positive tone, and what awaits us in 2025 and beyond, we can only find out with time. Friends, I want to make you an interesting offer. You have a unique opportunity to become part of our team. If you have video editing skills, can voice over videos in Russian, English, and other languages, or write interesting scripts, we would be happy to work with you. Write to our Telegram bot. The link is in the description. And that's all for today. Goodbye, everyone.